Hi, are you both there?
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Raymond. I'm here.
Hi,
Oh,
Jack.
wonderful.
How are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Great.
So
Thank you so much, Jack, for everything. This has been great being with you in the last few days.
Well, you know, Raymond, as I said, I've got to thank you. I mean, what a great honor to be with the man who really inspired me to follow this path. So thank you.
Well, you know, we're all in this together.
we are.
A
I think that's
joint
what.
Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to introduce my next guest is Dr. John L. Turner. Dr. Turner is a board-certified neurosurgeon, and his new book, Medicine, Miracles, and Manifestations, is a nonfiction narrative about his surgical career and spiritual quest, and his evolutionary journey in the field of integral medicine. While completing his doctoral degree in physics, Dr. Turner was given a book about Edgar Cayce, The Sleeping Prophet, which changed the course of his life. For 18 years, Dr. Turner served as the sole neurosurgeon on the island of Hawaii. From his first day on call in Hilo, Hawaii, metaphysical events began to occur. Dr. Turner's curiosity drove him to explore non-traditional healing. Some of the healing techniques he used included the practice of jo-rei, chanting and meditation, soul travel, and astral projection, and precognition and remote viewing. Dr. Turner is the only brain surgeon to write about medicine from the perspective of integral medicine and uses his complementary techniques prior to, during, and after surgery. Notably, Dr. Turner's complementary methods explore pathways that lead to the spiritual world. To learn more about Dr. John L. Turner and his work, please visit his website, where you can also subscribe to his blog at johnlturner.com. That's johnlturner.com. Please welcome to the show my very special guest, Dr. John L. Turner. Aloha, Jack. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, KG, and thank you and Raymond for allowing me to join you in this discussion.
Yes. So what led you to work with Dr. Moody?
Well, as I've said, I really work for Dr. Moody. I would like to say I work with Dr. Moody, but the reason I say for Dr. Moody is that I feel that his compilation of the stories of shared near-death experiences and what he has to teach in his new book, Glimpses of Eternity, is just outstanding. And, you know, I came to work in this capacity to discuss these things with Dr. Raymond Moody, who they call the father of near-death experiences, because of a couple of projects that have to do with the producers in Australia, Viv Summers and Anna Reeves. And these ladies have wanted to present a TV series that is called Proof, Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, that explains that there is survival of consciousness. And as a neurosurgeon, I've been very interested in how the brain is involved with all of this and what consciousness is all about. And if we look at the world situation today, KG, and as you and Raymond well know, things are in great turmoil. And I think that by explaining that to the average person who wants to know what happens after death, why am I here, where do I go, if they realize that consciousness persists, and there is this afterlife or this period in which we change and we go on to a new dimension, I think then we can go beyond the fact that we're all brothers and sisters, that we're all one, we're all connected in this, and we have to respect everybody and everything. So that's the reason I'm involved in these projects, which are films and TV projects, and also to promote Dr. Moody's great book, because I think that anyone who reads that book is going to have to say, wow, this is the way it works, and I think it will change their lives.
Mm-hmm. So what do you feel is the best evidence for survival of consciousness? And I'd like to hear from both of you on this.
Okay, well, would you like me to go first?
Yes, why don't you start?
All right. The best evidence. Well, I think, if we review what are the different evidences, I would say that it depends on the researcher. Some will say that mental mediums produce the best evidence of contact with the afterlife. The people who promote instrumental communication, transcommunication, and the EVP, the electronic voice phenomena, will say, look, this is definite proof. We're getting information here through these electronic methods that you can't dispute. And there are others, such as the eye movement desensitization that produces a induced after-death experience. They will say this is the proof. For me, the best proof is the fact that someone can be in the room with a patient who is passing and experience a lot of the same things that patient is going through. For example, that panoramic life review, sometimes the opening of an entrance into another dimension. And some people who have actually left their body also, and maybe left with that patient who has left their body, and almost traveled into that next dimension. And to see, the relatives and loved ones who seem to come to lead this patient on, that to me is the proof, because it takes away all these arguments about the dying brain and hypoxia or carbon dioxide buildup or chemical release. There's something here that's so significant. It's led me to work for Dr. Moody in promoting his book. So I would say this is the best evidence, the shared near-death experience.
And you, Raymond?
I absolutely agree with Jack on this. I think this is something that is really taking the whole discussion into a different dimension now, because I just can't see any plausible way. It's kind of like triangulation, in effect. I mean, we're seeing the same thing from the point of view of people who almost die and return, but also from the people who are standing around. So we're seeing the same thing from two slightly different angles. And to me, this is the strongest indication of an afterlife. And I think that very quickly now we're going to be seeing entirely new means of investigation open up, entirely new rational methods for honing in on this question. And concurrently with that, there are developments in the field of logic that I don't really have. I am, as I said in Life After Life, I was initially a professor of philosophy, and my areas of special interest, logic and philosophy of language. And this is a very technical discipline, so I really couldn't broach it in this context, except to say that I can assure you that there are new developments in the field that we could call logic that are bringing about new, entirely rational methods for investigating the question of an afterlife that we haven't had in the past. So I think it's going to be this combination, and Jack alluded when he, at first he was talking about the different, he said part of the question is what is evidence? I mean, and I think that's entirely right, that there's a big conceptual question here as to how we would think of the notion of evidence of an afterlife in the first place. But now I think that big stumbling block is removed too, because of developments in logic that are maybe a little bit technical to talk about in this context, but nonetheless then applied to these shared death experiences and the near-death experiences. I think that we are really, really inching closer to lending rational credence to the notion of an afterlife. I think at least it's going to get harder and harder for people who have some sort of constitutional distaste for this idea of an afterlife. And I'm really kind of embarrassed to admit to you that I had that for years myself. I just seemed so counterintuitive. But now it seems...
And from someone who's an intuitive, it seems counterintuitive not to...
I know. And I think that's partly like one's background. I just was not... I grew up a devoted amateur astronomer.
Yeah, it's the way you're conditioned.
My family wasn't religious, so to me this is an outlandish idea. And yet I do see that things are closing in on me, whereas anything I can say, especially with the addition of the shared death experiences, which are apparently an identical phenomenon to the near-death experience, yet happens to people who just happen to be standing around, then it gets harder and harder to run away from the implications of this.
Well, I would say, Raymond, there's probably no way to run away from it. Like
I
KG,
think you're right.
Yeah, imagine you're there, KG, with a close friend or relative who is dying, and you see the light, you hear the music, and and maybe even go.
Oh, I've had those experiences. I've had the shared experiences with my dad when he was crossing, and then my mom who just recently went into hospice. I've already had lots of interesting experiences. I had with my mom in prayer for her when I first found out that she was in hospice. I saw this big white angel she had like a crucifix and like this she was like a nun nurse. And I heard the name Saint Bernadette, and I had no idea who is Saint Bernadette. So I looked it up, and Saint Bernadette is the person, she helps people who are crossing, and also people with, my mom has advanced emphysema, so she died, I guess, she had asthma her entire life, and she helps people with respiratory things. And she discovered Lourdes in the south of France. So you don't have to. You're talking with one of the. You're talking to the choir.
To the choir. Right? To the choir. Well, listen. The thing is, and as I discussed and asked Raymond about not too long ago, is that to have these experiences with the person who is passing, does it require that you have this emotional contact? Because a skeptic might say, "Listen, this is still an imaginary thing." But doctors and nurses who may not have this close contact with the patient have experienced similar things. So it kind of takes it out of the context of imagination and hopeful thinking. It appears this is a very real thing. And I think it's going to be a significant change as we, discuss all the various implications about persistence of consciousness. I think it's going to end up with this being very significant. The shared experience.
Well, it's like an eyewitness, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like someone who's the eyewitness at the scene.
That's right. And all of this coming together right at the time in which the world most needs it, I think is a fascinating confluence of events.
Yes.
Because it's really just getting increasingly difficult, I think, to see any easy way out of the situation that the world is in right now. And
we're going to have to transcend the old consciousness. That's what's going to need to take place.
Yes, that's right. There is going to be very soon now a sort of worldwide shift in consciousness, and I think it's